Reddy, who will talk about hydroponics, a safe, sustainable approach for food production. The purpose of these webinars are to sensitize people to know and value the importance of plant breeding and also to create an awareness on various aspects like technology integration, policy support, regulatory overview, farmers' comprehensions, and various other aspects required for inclusive development of agriculture. Foundation for Advanced Training in Plant Breeding, abbreviated as ATPBR, is a non-profit organization, and we aim to promote advanced technology in plant breeding and develop qualified plant breeders who would complement and add value to the existing system. Our efforts are towards creating a conducive ecosystem where skillful organizations or resourceful person work together to develop joint courses, research, and co-incubations. ATPBR organize professional trainings, workshop, and various awareness sessions to build required competencies of the global standard. And we also organize annual conference named as 5 Farming Conference in different locations across India. Now, I would like to take a privilege to introduce our moderator, Dr. Sairam Reddy. He is the co-founder and Director Research of Breeding and Development at Tierra Seed Science Private Limited, and also he's an independent director of ATPBR. He has been working for past 53 years as a successful vegetable breeder, teacher, researcher, both in public and private sector. In his career with private sector, he worked with Adventa, Syngenta, Pioneer for about more than 30 years and developed several nationally and internationally released varieties and hybrids of tomato and okra. Prior to joining private sector, he worked with ICR for about 20 years and involved in teaching and guiding PhD and MSc students. He has published over 50 research review papers and hold 1 patent. So it's really an honor and privilege to have Dr. Tiku as a moderator of the session. I request Tiku sir to take the floor. Tiku sir, over to you.
Thank you, Aparna. Good morning to everybody, and thanks for that introduction. I have the great pleasure actually to moderate this as a very nice, good friend and an excellent speaker today. Our universe especially is going towards recognizing that we need safe and healthy food. And I think Dr. Sairam has taken up the onerous task of providing us that through his hydroponics company, which he will today, talk to us. And I'm sure it will be very interesting for the speakers to listen to him. Dr. Sairam Reddy Palicherla is the co-founder and chief scientific officer in UrbanKisaan Farms and India Director for Heartfulness Institute, India. He is a passionate researcher and entrepreneur aiming towards developing environmentally safe and sustainable agricultural technologies. He obtained his PhD in plant biotechnology. He did his postdoctoral research in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and as a National Fellow of Biotechnology at the University of Delaware, USA, as an NIH Fellow. He also did various courses from Nalsar, India School of Business, Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, Stanford, MIT, and Harvard universities. So this is he has been doing so that he can, successfully lead his company. So he's gaining a lot of management experiences. Currently, he's leading the R&D of his own startup, UrbanKisaan, a vertical farming pioneer in India. UrbanKisaan is listed in the top 5 influential projects in India for the year 2020 by Project Management Institute. UrbanKisaan was also awarded Startup of the Year 2021 by Economic Times, Company of the Year 21 by Inner Review, and the Global Sustainability Award and Innovative Social Enterprise of the Year 2021 by TIE. Sustainability Summit in 2021. UrbanKisaan received investments from the leading investors like Y Combinator USA and recently by BASF Germany. He has published over 30 research articles in peer-reviewed international journals, presented many more topics in several scientific forums in multiple countries. He was honored by national and international scientific bodies and received many awards for his scientific contributions, including National Fellow in Biotechnology by Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. Best Project Leader and Best Mentor by JK Organization, Outstanding Biotechnologist by WCPTC, Sri Lanka, and Distinguished Scientist by Science and Technology, Siri Foundation, and Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Excellency Award in Indian Achievers Award for 2020. He was recently listed in the top 10 leaders in agriculture industry for the year 2020 by CEO Insights magazine. He has been a sincere seeker of spirituality besides all this, practicing heartfulness way of meditation for more than 2 decades. He is currently extending his voluntary services as Director for Heartfulness Institute, India, and as also a trainer of heartfulness meditation, and contributing his part in building a stress-free society, orienting towards higher life goals. So you can see that Dr. Reddy is a very accomplished person, and we look forward to listening to him today. Over to you, Dr. Reddy.
Good morning, Tiku sir. Good morning, all the eminent scientists of this forum. I really feel it is honored to be among you today. And let me make my small effort to bring this concept of hydroponics, which you might be.
I will interfere you for 1 second.
Yes.
I really appreciate that Dr. Sairam stayed with his commitment in spite of having been COVID positive, and he has been recovering from that since last 8 or 10 days. But he still agreed that he must, stay with his commitment and not postpone. Thanks for that. Please continue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sorry if there is any inconvenience with my throat and things. So you might be very well aware of this concept, hydroponics, but let me put it from my perspective of sustainability and the successful, how we can convert into a successful business, and what are the primary impediments to really bring this technology into the mainstream agronomy in India. So I believe this is the right forum to take up many of the issues which I would probably going to mention today. Let me. Yeah, hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so this is all the need for this soilless farming actually starts from the issues associated with the urbanization. This is the immediate need which you should really see as something that need to be applied. So here, just give me a minute. Okay, that's fine. So this is the trends of urbanization. Urbanization is growing across the world. Actually, it is happening at a very high rate. So the statistics says about 54% of the population actually live in the urban areas. So that's a huge compared to the density of urban real estate, and 54% of the population living in there is something substantial to be considered. And it is estimated that the number will rise up to like 7 billion, that is from 4 billion by 2050. Which is about 2/3 of global population actually projected to be living in the urban areas. So there's also a trend is that the people tend to migrate cities as they grow richer, or at the same time they become more poorer, they're not sustainable in the villages, want to survive. So you see the both extremes of these urban areas. So as a result of it, urban and peri-urban or semi-urban agriculture is growing rapidly due to this increase in urban population. And the food demand is also growing enormously. According to FAO, 800 million people worldwide produce food in urban gardens. This is also, again, the huge number to consider, where the technology, what we are talking, is actually going to serve to. However, with the soil in the urban and semi-urban areas is highly polluted, especially the attention must be paid to the potential transfer of contaminants from urban soils to crops and the risk poses to the human health. This is first and foremost a fundamental issue. I'll give you a few statistics which may scare us, but that's the fact. So the urban soils and urban waters both are highly contaminated with many toxic elements, which includes industrial effluents and heavy metals, and the POPs, OCPs, PCBs, many of these organic toxins. So they are all going and getting settled in the semi-urban um, agriculture lands, and also the groundwater is highly polluted with this. And this is either through vegetables or the cattle which graze the graze the grass and the other vegetation in the semi-urban areas is also passing through the cattle milk, cattle meat, whatever, all sorts of food chain. So the one statistics actually published in Hyderabad by Agriculture University shows that is what is the basis for me moving into this the space of hydroponics. They have actually conducted a study in the year 2015.
I think the slide is not on slideshow. Something is everybody seeing the slide?
There is some Mr. Sandeep who did the presentation, but if we can pin the presentation that is in the window, if we pin it, we can see it. If everybody can do that.
Oh, but somebody else has shared it? Or what?
Yeah,
How can that happen?
Can I reshare it again?
would be appreciating, sir.
Yeah, something is not right here. Sorry,
I'll come back again.
technology glitch. I request that nobody kind of shares the presentation, otherwise nobody will be able to.
So you're able to see it now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what they have done in this study was like they went around the city and collected the samples of vegetables, which includes root crops, fruit crops, and leafy crops. Not only from the supermarkets, but also from vegetable mandis, roadside vendors, organic stores, from all sorts of supplies. This is what they did, and then did an analysis and published it. So the data shows that irrespective of what kind of vegetable it is, they are carrying very high levels of these heavy metals, which includes very risky metals like arsenic and lead. More so it is in these root crops and then leafy vegetables. The problem was more with the in regular vegetables like bendi and brinjal is pesticides, but whereas we know that the metal absorption ability is very high with this leafy vegetables and root crops. So therefore, anywhere from 25 to 72 times more than the permissible levels of these heavy metals were actually detected in these vegetables. But that's what scared me. And that it doesn't matter whether it is organic or inorganic. We are always going behind organic. But the organic is only in terms of safety. It is only talking about pesticides, excess amounts of pesticides in us, in the vegetables, and which goes in our body. But equally dangerous heavy metals are not addressed here. We don't have a concept. We don't know how to do that. I was searching for ways and means, because if you see the Indian women, majority of them, more than 60% of them are actually anemic, is what as per the standards of World Health Organization. So that's the reason why that the most of the time when women goes to a doctor and they say they eat lots of greens, that is to gain more blood, the hemoglobin. But whereas these greens, if they are having these heavy metals like arsenic and lead, they counteract on this hemoglobin and they become more anemic. What is the solution? The best solution is the roof gardens, or the small micro gardens which we can grow. Governments have been promoting, but not many are able to really take it up. The reason is it demands a lot of work and the skills and many things, and a few days if you have to go for a vacation and the garden is in trouble. So that is when I started looking for alternate ways, and then I came across with this hydroponics as a solution to still promote this micro gardening or micro farming, where households will be able to grow at least their leafy greens for their weekly demand. So, and then let's just see what is happening with the hydroponics. It's a growing business. Still, it is in the minuscule. If you see the total agriculture, this is still not even worth mentioning what percent of agriculture is hydroponics, but it's a growing market. It is about 9.5 billion US dollars. It's not a small thing, but still it is small compared to the whole agriculture. But it is going ahead in the right direction, and expected to grow double the size by 2026. But let's see that what is happening in this the total $9.5 billion of market. So the tomato, bell peppers, lettuces, and cucumber, these four crops take the major share. Rest everything is a small, actually. That area includes many more crops, but they're not worth mentioning also. So primarily it is to do with these four crops, and out of the tomato also, primarily it is cherry tomato we are talking about. And these are all the crops which are actually eaten fresh in salads. As in the West, the daily the staple food is the salads, and which is eaten fresh. And most of the soil grown, the crops of this produce will come with this contaminations, salmonella kind of a risk. So where the West has faced severe epidemics of the salmonella and a lot of problems they faced. And that's the reason why that they quickly moved into this controlled agriculture, because they could derive a high value. So they could sell these produce at a higher price and still make money out of this expensive installations. So why this soilless farming? It's because it doesn't require soil, and it adds to a lot of growth, up to the 4 to 5 times the growth you can expect compared to the soil grown. And you can save about 80 to 95% of water. I'll give you a small statistics here, which we have done a calculation. So we have a palak or spinach farm in Jubilee Hills of Hyderabad in a rooftop, in a commercial building rooftop. That's about 3,500 square feet area. So it's a vertical farm. The produce what we get is equal to 1 acre of open field, the palak. So here we did this math. So the generally, like the 1 acre of spinach to harvest, from seed to harvest, it is about 45 to 50 days it takes, and it requires about 2.3 lakh liters of water for that duration. Whereas we could get the same amount of harvest from this 3,200 square feet vertical farm using about 9,000 liters of water. So that's the kind of savings we are talking about. But that may vary slightly, this side, that side, depending on the season, dryness, and things like that. But more or less, that's the kind of a difference we are talking about. Since we don't use soil at all, and there is no weed problem, and the nutrient management is fully under control, whatever you are giving, you know what you are giving and how much you are giving. So it's a highly efficient approach to give the required amount of nutrition to the plant, but no wastage and no excess to cause any kind of trouble to the plant metabolism. And it doesn't require any chemical pesticides, because mostly it is in controlled environment. Still you get pests, but I know that we can monitor it very closely and take care of the pest using these biological controls. Sorry. So I'll just give you the small picture of what is going on and what kind of hydroponics, the setups, and what is happening across the world. Let's start with the small micro farms, I call them, as like the home kits. This is the kit, left side one, what you see we started our business with the philosophy I mentioned, to make sure that every household, at least they'll be able to grow and harvest their leafy greens weekly demand. So there are many players with this kind of kits across the world, and they're very small and tiny and just plug and play kind of tools. So these are called home kits, and then there are balcony kits. There are also, you see, the indoor kits where with the lights you can operate. And this another similar segment is called smart home kits. These smart kits are like, they are very aesthetically designed, but they're tiny and look so good. They are fully under control. They're IoT enabled devices. You can operate everything from your mobile, set up everything, parameters, and watch what is happening, through the cameras from your mobile. These are very the high-tech kind of a thing, but may not be having very big use in the homes, but you still can be wisely used by growing some aromatic greens like mint or coriander, basil, or this kind of a things, where you don't need huge quantity to for your cooking. But still, just few leaves you cut every day, and then still let this one get going. So this is something which is more fancy coming up. And the small and medium size growers. This is another bubbling market in countries like the China or Thailand, Indonesia, and all these places. Having 1,000 or 2,000 square yards of square feet of backyard or a rooftop can be converted into a small the hydroponic setup, and then grow greens and then supply to the nearby small hotels or to the neighbors. This helps to sustain, or the domestic business very comfortably. The housewife can manage the most of the operations. And this is called container farming, or they are also called smart farms. There's a company called Freight Farms in US. They converted these containers into farms. So the advantage of these farms are like, it doesn't matter whether it is Dubai desert or Northern cold conditions. So irrespective of the external climatic conditions, you can place this container and keep harvesting your produce around the year. And this is in-store farming. This is a German company who started installing these in-store farms in big retail stores. And then either everything is grown there in those cupboards from seed to plant, or the before harvest they're keep on getting replaced coming from the main farms. So either way, so this is a growing business in Europe now. So they're able to successfully deploy them, and primarily the lettuces again, and then aromatic herbs, where the hydroponics adds so much value in the aroma of these herbs, which otherwise you can't imagine that kind of aroma. So as they're very sensitive for taste buds, and this is a very booming business in Europe now. And there are monoculture crops, farms to a size of 2 to 5 acres, where the entire farm is designed for a single type of crop. So like, either their lettuce farm, or a tomato farm, or a bell pepper farm, or cucumber farms, as the 1, 2 to 5 acres. And then they have a tie-up with a B2B. These are primarily B2B businesses. So, and then around the year, they keep supplying these things. And these are large-scale indoor farms. The middle one is in California. It is a company called Plenty. And the right side one is Arrow Farms in New Jersey. And then left side extreme is called Grandma's Dome. It's in Japan. So these are the extremely large scale, like football stadium size kind of indoor farms, where they're primarily growing leafy greens, only leafy greens, to meet their salad demand. As I mentioned to you, the salad is a primary staple for them, and whatever the cleanliness is something, which is hygiene is the top priority for this. Hydroponics is known for maintaining such kind of hygiene. And then these very large scale greenhouse farmings is about anywhere from 50 acres, 20 acres to 50 acres kind of farms. They're primarily located in Germany, Netherlands, and Spain, kind of European countries. These are also monocultures, but this business is primarily for exports all over the world. Is very large farms. Very few of them, extremely few in number, but there such farms exist. So coming to the UrbanKisaan, what we are doing in UrbanKisaan. UrbanKisaan is actually started in the year 2018. So we build farms in the neighborhood and sell produce through the UrbanKisaan branded retail stores and e-commerce platforms directly to the consumer. So far we are not into any B2B business in India. From the day one, we are with this B2C business. So what we do is we build farms in the neighborhoods. So we use no soil, as our farms are located very close to the neighborhoods. So that helps us to, or that enables us to deliver this produce fresh to the consumer with no a lag from harvest to the delivery. These are our first business models. We started everything with these home kits, which are suitable for these balconies and also the rooftops. And these kits were sold all across the country. And people started growing whatnot, everything, in all sorts of greens, Indian greens, no limitation to it. And then we built this vertical rooftop farms in the city. And these are this is the farm I was mentioning to you about, where we did this spinach analysis, spinach water use analysis. So in this vertical farm, the UrbanKisan's primary focus is actually Indian vegetables. The lettuce and the other things, everybody is doing, but there's a extremely limited market, and it's a kind of reaching to the saturation. So from the beginning, our focus has been the Indian vegetables, including Indian greens and then all spectrum of vegetables. And then we built this semi-urban areas, the greenhouses converted into these hydroponic setups to grow these leafy greens, and also these to grow these various other crops like broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, brinjal, okra, even gourds. And then we build these indoor farms with completely using our technology, where the LED lights, drivers, controls, IoTs, everything was in-house developed. And these are our retail stores, how they look like, our branded retail stores. And a customer can walk in and harvest whatever they are looking for, and then get it built. And we also place this many other vegetables which we cannot grow indoors, and they're grown in our semi-urban farms, and they're being placed here in the retail stores. And these are online store pics. Then we started looking into these value-added products, because our entire business is to do with the fresh vegetables. And very well, this wastage is very high in fresh vegetables. So, and we don't want to incur such kind of a wastages. We wanted to convert that into value addition. And then we came out with a very innovative, Indianized kind of recipes with this bowls. We call them as farm bowl. And this has gained a lot of demand. Now we have at least 4 acres of farms exclusively dedicated to grow vegetables for this farm. Initially, it was to add value, to convert this wastage, but now this itself became a big demanding business to us. So fortunately, from the beginning, we gathered a lot of media traction from Forbes, Times, and we were featured in TechCrunch, and we were in Discovery Channel. So Samantha is a reputed South Indian film star, is our brand ambassador, and not only brand ambassador, she's part of us. She's also an investor. We were fortunate to get through this Y Combinator accelerator investment program in the year 2020. That helped us to really get the good business perspective. And then later we raised some funds from Pioneer, and BASF was a big boost to us, getting into us and then helping us to grow better. We're thankful to NOM and AIDEA for incubating us in the beginning. So we are 3 of us, co-founders, and good blend of it. And I see that this kind of blend is also fortunate to have, which is helping us to see business not only from science perspective but also from various angles. So Vihari is a chartered accountant, and Srinivas is a software engineer. He has his own software development company. So these both help from one side the business point, and other one is tech addition, and I take care of the biology part of our business. So what we are trying to address from UrbanKisaan is, as I mentioned to you, is we're trying to help the urban people to avoid eating the food which is coming from these contaminated soils, and the unhygienic kind of handling is something which is another problem that we are trying to solve. And you see that another major problem is like the 54% of India is already facing extreme to high water stress. And this technology and the R&D, what we are focusing is primarily to add a lot of other Indian crops to this technology, so that we will be future ready to be able to grow food safely and sustainably. So we developed nutrient formulations for several Indian vegetables. So we kind of fine-tuned for various stages and various crops. And we developed low-cost photosynthetic lights for indoor farming. This actually, the one light fixture from the Philips or Vosaram, which are called photosynthetic lights, they call, costs anywhere from 4,500 to 8,000 rupees. Our one indoor farm requires about 1,600 such light fixtures. So it is impossible for us to have an indoor farm set up with such an exorbitantly inexpensive lights and then get the profits out of it. That's where we got into it. We made innovations here. We still get these diodes coming from this Philips or Osaram only, but we build the light spectrum, and we build the drivers, and we manufacture these the lights, and we are able to get this less than 10 times of, we could reduce the price by 10 times. So that helped us to set up these indoor farms and still make them profitable. And we also developed our IoTs to enable the indoor farms and also the greenhouses for climate and nutrient management. And we developed this AML-based software for crop management and QC, and their beta versions are being tried now in our research farms. So as I mentioned, we have our rooftop farms in the cities, and we have neighborhood farms and suburban farms in the big farms in the suburban areas, where the setup cost is down by 60% with our technological intervention. And we also reduced the OPEX by 50%, by getting these lights, which are highly power efficient. It's only a 9-watt power input, but gives a power value which is equal to 18 watt. And our IoT intervention actually minimized the manpower enhancement. So we work with the various crops, the complete spectrum of vegetables at this juncture. Some are being grown commercially, some are still under the research. So we are growing these cherry tomatoes, snacky peppers, bell peppers, brinjals, our Indian tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini, and these hot peppers. Some of these lines are our breeding lines, as you know that the availability of a germplasm which are suitable for this vertical farming, especially the Indian vegetable crop germplasm, is not there. It's not available. It's primarily because the entire breeding was done keeping soil farming at open field farming, in mind. So the selections of the phenotypes are suitable for open field farming rather than the indoor farming or vertical farming. So the phenotypes are completely different here. So we started this breeding program also 3 years ago, and we made some progress. And so we wanted to just imagine a kind of these are bird's eye chili, or you call Thai chili. The imagine a kind of a wall with full of this chili and just that keep harvesting in indoors or in the vertical farms. So that's the kind of the route we are going with. So this is also the bindi. We did breeding bindi also. We now have a very useful bindi line identified for suitable for this hydroponics and vertical farm. This can be converted into at least 4 layers in vertical format. And this is actually, you see the extremely short internodal. You may see something like this in open fields, but the moment you put this okra in a polyhouse, you know what happens. It grows like a big tree with highly elongated internodal distances, which is completely undesirable for this hydroponics or vertical farming. And we are also working with these gourds, the ridge gourd, bitter gourd, and bottle gourd. Currently we are depending on the manual pollination. So shortly we are going to try a few the honeybee based pollinations. And here also a lot of research intervention is required to convert them for indoors. You get extremely high yields here inside, but it also comes with problems. So we built a kind of a multi-crop towers, we call it as. Like in the lower layers, we can use these vine crops. And here in this case, you see the bitter gourd. And we harvested something else in between, in the middle layers. And top, you see the cabbage growing. And this multi-tower crops can be used for domestic purpose and also for the small businesses. They're going to be very, very useful. And very recently, we also got a breakthrough with this saffron. Thankful to the Saffron Research Institute, Srinagar. They kindly gave me a few bulbs, and then with that, I could get these, the flowers coming, in Hyderabad. I could build a 200 square feet facility to get these saffron cultivation. And now this is in this stage of multiplication. So I'm successful with this, getting the saffron flowers and with a very high quality of saffron. But now the entire success of this crop, this cultivation in South depends on how efficient we'll be able to get this vegetative propagation. We need to get more bulbs, where each bulb weighing more than 20 grams in size. Then only this entire equation is going to be successful. Hopefully, I'll be able to get some data by this July or August of this year. And we are also successful in growing the root crops like radish and also the sweet potato with the help of Tuber Crop Research Institute, Kerala. And without, I'm showing you here, these are the sweet pepper, which are pigment rich. So the high anthocyanins, like beta carotenes, kind of sweet potatoes. And I could get this pigmentation. So one notion is like we may be able to get these tubers or crops coming, but it's a secondary metabolisms are not efficient enough in hydroponics, and you don't get that accumulations. But I could show here so very successfully that there is absolutely no shortage in the secondary metabolisms in hydroponics. So it doesn't interfere with the genetics of the crop, and it permits all the metabolisms to go on its own without having any problem. And success of this kind of crops leads to the ideas, like, while building smart cities. So you see these facades kind of a thing, that where a lot of greenery is to be built just for the beauty sake, but they are all just green crops. No additional value to it. But recently, when I was in discussion with one of my partner institutions, BASF, and they have the smart city building research center in Germany. So they kind of asked me to look into these options, where some of these sweet potato varieties can be grown in place of this some junk, just stay green kind of crops. And that helps you not only to maintain the beauty of these facades, but also yields a lot of the food from that. It helps us to produce again another sustainable greenery. So there are many ways. I mean, once we are successful, we not only have to look at something core agriculture approaches. This helps us to see the out of the box approaches to grow food in the cities, and then make it more safe and sustainable. So yes, there are many challenges still remain. This technology is in the very infant stage at this juncture. Technology is still maturing, and it's a investment intensive, though we could bring down the capex and opex cost drastically, but still it demands very high amounts of investments. It's a very sensitive markets that people still not clear whether it is safe technology, or whether this is a natural, or this is artificial. What is it about? And institutions like yours should come forward to educate the society. And the major problem I see here for Indian vegetable crops to get into the hydroponics in a big way is the non-availability of genotypes for several crops which are suitable for hydroponics. So any crops currently they're being grown in hydroponics, they're all actually bred for greenhouse farming. So it was relatively easy to move them to hydroponics. So we so far in India, we are not doing that. Maybe one or two, some in the niche laboratories, but not in the mainstream. Breeding is being done for greenhouses, greenhouse farming. That's a big lack, and now the big companies like Bayer, and they sponsored $30 million to with a Singapore-based company to do breeding exclusive for vertical farming or hydroponics. So this is a upcoming field, and people supposed to pay attention here. Success of developing genotypes suitable for hydroponics is going to add fuel to this technology. And the other thing is like high expectations from consumers. So we talk big about this technology, and obviously the end consumer raise their expectations very high, and meeting such expectations is also not so easy. So thank you very much, and I keep the forum now for open for any questions and discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. That was excellent. Something that brings a new area into the agricultural field, and we will open the forum to questions, and then I will sum up. So I see that Sharad Deshpande has a question. Sharad, please. Sharad. Sharad, can you hear me? Sharad Deshpande?
I am not able to unmute, sir.
Yeah, you are.
We can hear you, sir.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
We are hearing you.
Yeah, Dr. Reddy, it was an excellent presentation and wonderful slides. I was just enjoying all of them. And sorry that I joined a little bit late, about 10 minutes. I have a couple of questions. Okay, number one is this hydroponics is not suitable for feed crops and forage crops. What is the reason? And number two is you mentioned about suitable genotypes. What exactly you mean by that?
Yeah. So it's not the hydroponics is not suitable for field crops or forage crops. There, it is very much suitable, but it is whether it is commercially viable or not. That's the question we are actually asking. So if we have to produce, such large quantities, any forage crops or field crops, the volume is very high. Though if we have to meet such kind of voluminous production, the investment is also going to be extremely high, which is practically not possible at this juncture with the availability of the tech as I said, is in nascent. That's the only reason. And about the suitability of germplasm. So what I mean is like the let's say they take the same example of okra as I mentioned. So okra, if we grow in a polyhouse, because hydroponics is primarily in controlled environment, either polyhouse or indoors, and that's what we are currently doing. We are not doing hydroponics in the open fields. So in UrbanKisaan, we are trying to develop some kind of approach where this can be deployed in the open field, meaning without having the cover. So, but the moment you have the cover, then that is going to cut off some light, and it builds some humidity. So these are the two primary changes happen in polyhouse. So now the crop should have suitability to these two things. The moment light is cut off by at least 20% with the sheet what we use or the cover, and now the internodal distances start elongating. So now the plant which is expected to grow about 4 feet will grow now 10 feet. So now you have a different challenges to handle that kind of vegetative growth, and that's going to cause shade, and that's the unnecessary of wastage of your nutrients and many other things, and it's a laborious thing to climb that height and then do the harvest. So for the same thing, what you get it at 4 feet. So this is one sort of problem. This is a problem for almost all the crops. Any crop, including tomato, will do the internodal elongation. And sometimes this 20% of cutoff of light will give only vegetative growth. It may not give flowers, or even if you give sparse flowers, it may not shed fruits. So, and its photosynthetic abilities also go down. So the genotypes which has the ability to grow, like we say, have a temperate tropical crops kind of a thing. Now, whatever we are growing in greenhouses in India, they are all coming from temperate areas. There are companies like Bhujwan or Indajadan, and these are the guys who are selling their bread there in the West and then sold here. So they are able to grow here, but they are not tolerant to a pest kind of a problem. That's another problem we are facing. So, and then the moment humidity goes up, inside polyhouse, and you see a different problem. Like suddenly the plant becomes very susceptible for this powdery mildew or a downy mildew kind of fungal diseases. So this is what we're supposed to keep in mind, like when we are doing this open field breeding also, like let's say if we are breeding crops for Orissa. So we make sure that it has the, the bacterial wilt resistance. So such a kind of a specific targeted breeding program has never happened for this kind of agronomy. So that is limiting the possibility and the scope of deploying this technology for most of our Indian crops.
Thank you. I think, Sharad, I guess that answers your questions.
Yeah, got it, sir. Got it.
So I have a few people who have raised hands, so I'll go one by one. I have Mr. Sanjay Gaikwad. Please go ahead. Your question.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, I would like to ask regarding the quality of the produce what we get from this system of growing crops. So whether we in our layman's language we say that our old people they say that the taste of the food, the taste of new hybrids and varieties is not as compared to that of the older ones. So I would like to compare the taste of this produce which you are getting from this system of hydroponics with the regular whatever today's regular soil grown crops it is there. And secondly, you said you would be explaining about the water economics in that. So when the water has to be changed, how many days a single lot of water can be retained in this system?
Yeah. So when it comes to taste it comes from two different two different parameters. Like the two are two different reasons. One is the genetics of the plant itself.
Yeah.
So what is that variety we are using that has its own specific taste? That is one factor. The second factor which influence the taste is your cropping condition, your agronomy. Also makes so much of a difference, like in whether the crop is growing like fully hydrated, or some crops require towards a while before you harvest, and it should undergo some kind of a stress. It depends. There's some root crops, unless you give a stress, like in most of the root crops, they are not harvested when the plant is green. So when plant the aerial part dries, then you harvest. The white, because after that it has certain biological things, metabolism has to go in and to do the conversions, like I showed you the sweet potato kind of a thing. So these are the parameters. So my observation with whatever the crops we are growing is like there is absolutely no drop in the taste of the vegetables what we are growing in hydroponics. And in fact, I am very confident to claim that taste is actually added more. The cooking ability, the cooking, what you call the cooking speed. I mean, our moms tell us like, this today, I mean, I could cook very quickly, and this added more juice to it, like more taste to it, kind of. These are the reactions, general reaction, layman's reactions we always see from our customers, whoever use these vegetables, in a layman language. Otherwise, nutritive values and all, we have done the sufficient analysis, and even on the other side, other part of the world, like Cornell and all, they have done and published all the data. There is absolutely no problem with that.
Sir, quickly, I would like you to add about the shelf life of the produce.
I don't think that will change.
Shelf life is not going to change. If it is leafy greens, then you need to protect the leaf a little better, because it is growing in a controlled environment. It may not be having the the enough of protection layer. So if you wrap it in your plastic cover properly, and it stays for much more than the soil grown. But if you leave it open, it wilts quickly. But otherwise, all other vegetables, there is no change in the shelf life. It stays same.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was a good question, and we got the answers. And I have the next person is Dr. Rakesh Srivastava. Rakesh, your time. Rakesh, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah. Good to see you.
Yeah. Good to see you, sir. I'm so sorry. Actually, when I replied to you, I was muted. Thanks very much, first of all, for organizing this wonderful show. So congratulations to you and team. And Dr. Sairam, what a wonderful presentation. So enthralling to see your slides. So I have seen your entire presentation, and each slide, I tell you, has a different aroma and taste. But what struck me most was, that you are able to grow saffron here in our backyard here in Hyderabad. Dr. Tikku is from Kashmir, and my father also served for a long time in Kashmir, so I have a special bonding, with Kashmir Valley. And I'm really happy to know that you are able to grow these beautiful saffron bulbs over here. So my question is actually related to this, Sairam.
Yeah.
So we know, just like basmati rice, to be able to get that aroma and taste and that proportion of alkali, you need to have certain set of specific environment. You mentioned about genotype, you mentioned about environment. So this G by E is very important. Now, I'm just wondering how you're able to replicate or how you're able to mimic that unique, environment, which you otherwise see only in Kashmir Valley, back here in your, labs, in your controlled conditions. Because I've seen a lot of places people grow saffron in controlled condition, but the alkali, content is not really up to the mark. So I would just like to hear from you, what are the challenges you have faced and how you are able to, address the challenges and how you can really say that this saffron is as good as the saffron grown in the beautiful valleys of Kashmir. Thank you.
Yeah. So very good question, sir. Actually, what I did, this time, not much problem to answer your question, but next year I may be having some problem in answering your question. So I actually brought all these bulbs from Kashmir. They're grown in Kashmir. Okay, so the bulb, entire metabolites are there in the bulb already, which are accumulated in Kashmir. So what I did, the one very critical thing in accumulating these alkaloids, getting the quality, is the carbon dioxide percentage in the environment. That's very critical. So we should not have the CO2 levels, anything going less than 800 ppm. So I maintained between 800 to 1400 ppm CO2 throughout the moment started seeing the bud. So and throughout the crop, I maintained that CO2. And the temperatures, of course, I see what is their temperature in Kashmir, and I set up the same temperature here. So the critical thing is the CO2. So that's the reason why that I could get the alkalides same as Kashmir, and very good quality. Aroma was very good, and it is sent to laboratory. I still have to get the results, but visually and aroma, it is as good as the Kashmiri saffron. There's no difference. Now as I mentioned to you, now I'm doing these even bulb multiplication here in Hyderabad. So I'm using all the hydroponic technology here, and I'm giving these nutrients and all through these hydroponic approaches. So hopefully I'm going to get the bulbs, of good size and good multiplication rate. This is the critical thing. I mean, otherwise, may be able to get flower. People say that I got flower and all, but as you rightly mentioned, getting this quality saffron is critical. But otherwise, getting flower is not a big deal. If you just maintain low temperatures, you get the flower out. Getting this vegetative propagation is very, very critical.
I think that will be the critical one, because every time getting loads and loads of bulbs from Srinagar is not going to be cost effective.
It's not possible. You don't get that much of seed. If you have to seed, you have to uproot the crop in Srinagar.
So that will. So we look forward to your success in tissue culture. Multiplying the bulbs.
Yes, I am doing tissue culture also.
So maybe next year we'll be able. I have Dr. Khadi, and thanks. And okay, I think that answers your question. And,
yes, very much. Thank you very much.
Rakesh is a very senior scientist, a molecular biologist from ICRISAT for the knowledge of the participants.
Oh, pleasure talking to you, sir.
Same here.
And Dr. Khadi, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sairam. Actually, it is nice to hear about the, your UrbanKisaan, the progress. Actually, I was fascinated after visiting your facilities at Hyderabad last month. Yeah. And now I am more fascinated after hearing from you. And it is nice to know that there is a need to breed genotypes suitable for the, again, hydroponics. Again, it is food for the breeders. Again, think of breeders for coming out with the varieties suitable for the hydroponics. And what I feel is, I think there is no need to breed genotypes for the reason wise. You were talking about the Orissa and other places. Once if you breed suitability of particular genotype for the hydroponics, I think it may suit for everywhere and everybody.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. And you were also talking about the taste and all. There is no problem. But actually, we see that some of the produce in particular region, in particular environment, tastes better, something like that. Particular produce is better in this area, and even though the same genotype. So whether it is going to be the same in hydroponics, because we say that the safflower grown in Anigere and particular cucumber grown in particular area is a better tasting. So that one point I wanted to know from you. Thank you.
To some extent, what you said is right, sir, but that applies more to the fruits. Because the soil and environment conditions, dryness, and all that, which enhances the TSS accumulations, and there are very, very critical. And I agree with you. But that is also possible too, because it's a to a great extent you mimic the conditions. That's what is the beauty of hydroponics technology here. So we're able to grow this strawberries, you're able to grow these blueberries, raspberries, all these kinds of berries are being very successfully being able to grow in hydroponics with same TSS and same taste values without having any loss in that. But all that we need to do is identify those factors and try to mimic those factors. So because you are able to manage the environment, you need to get the knowledge of that environment and manage it. So, and if that can be done, and we can get any taste anywhere across the country. So like, we are able to grow saffron now here in Hyderabad. So it's the same.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wants to raise a hand, or otherwise I kind of...
So I have a question.
Okay. Please.
First I would like to congratulate you, sir, for giving a new perspective of hydroponics. That's really a great success story, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to replicate in different location. And my question is hydroponics can be a great success for high value crop, but how are you going to maintain the sustainability? How are you going to compete with the Thelawala? How are you going to go to each customer? Even in urban city, not everybody would like to purchase and pay the good amount of money. So how are you going to cope with that kind of challenge?
Yeah, very, very pertaining question, Dr. Aparna. So very, very important question. So what I believe in is if technology is good, okay, then you should be able to compete with whatever the current technology. So current agronomy is also technology. And if I'm talking about another technology or modern technology, then that should, be able to help me to grow, the same at a better price, a better value I should be able to derive. If I'm able to sell at a very high price and then only I get the profit, that means there's something wrong with the technology.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't believe in selling these anything which is grown in hydroponics at a more price and make the profits and call this as a technology. So somebody was asking me the similar kind of question, this is how can you compare a Mercedes Benz with a Maruti car? So I say that it is a Maruti car manufactured in Mercedes Benz factory.
Good one.
So at the end of the day, when it goes to the consumer, tomato is a tomato. What additional you have to tell, and how long you can keep on telling that this is free from that, this is free from this, and this is rich in this, and all that kind of things. That's not going to work. It works only when the technology is in maturing stage, or when it is still in nascent, the evolution. So we have taken up this challenge actually in UrbanKisaan. And this is what we believe in. This is we don't price any of our produce at more costly, and we don't label them as hydroponics in our retail stores also. So it doesn't matter to the consumer how it is grown, whether it is safe, whether it is tasty, whether it is going to meet all my nutritive requirements. That's all. These are the three parameters to be addressed by a consumer, nothing else. So we did an experiment, like, just for your the audience information, that we are growing cucumbers, we are growing tomatoes, regular, our flat round variety tomatoes in hydroponics. So we have 2 acres of these farms. What we did in Hyderabad, we have a Boinpalli vegetable mandi. This is one of the biggest farmers market. So we harvested one day, the half a ton of each, and then we took it to the vegetable mandi, farmers market, and gave it to the vendors. We never told them that we are from UrbanKisaan. We never mentioned that this is a hydroponic or anything. Doesn't matter. So we just gave the vegetables to them at the same price what they are buying from any farmer. So we gave them to 5 of these vendors, and then we returned back. Evening, all the 5 guys called, asking that, each one asking for 500 kilos of this tomato, and whether we are going to supply this tomorrow or not. So then we wondered that what made them call and then inquired and insist us to come and give this, deliver these vegetables to them. So next day, our person went there, and he was there standing till the evening to see what is actually happening there. So, and we understood something very revealing. We were not aware. Many of you might be knowing it. We were not aware what actually happens in a vegetable mandi. So he buy it at, let's say, 15 rupees a kilo tomato from farmer. So now, at 4:30 he takes it from farmer, and 5 o'clock, the shopping starts. Customers start coming and buying. Morning 8:30, 9 o'clock. Until then, it is 20 rupees a price. Now the price goes down to 15 rupees. By 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, price goes down by 10 rupees. By evening 4 o'clock, and they say that you give whatever you want. I'll give it to you, whatever is remaining. So this is the kind of pricing goes. So what happens with the produce? You see, like, a customer goes and then they're selecting, and then they're doing grading actually. It's a natural grading happens, the grading done by the customer. So by 9 o'clock, you have see only B grade. By 12 o'clock, you see all C grade. But after that, it is of no use, whatever is, So now the price, there is a differential price. So what happened with our produce is like 85 to 90% of it is A plus grade. So he realized this entire heap value at whatever, the A grade price only. So he got much more money than otherwise, then he started offering us another 2 rupees. You take another, I'll give you 2 more rupees, but you give me only. You see, what I'm saying is this pricing, we cannot decide. The consumer has to decide.
Yeah.
We're supposed to stand up to their expectations. If our technology is really helping them to deliver such kind of produce, then the business works. Otherwise, it doesn't.
Good. Thank you. And I think that leads me to, I had 2 comments, rather questions and comments. One is since you said that the yield is very high under your, under the hydroponics, the yield per square meter is very, very high. Yeah. So does that compensate for, for you not to increase the price?
Exactly. That is the main advantage. There are 2 factors which help us not to increase the price.
Yeah.
One is the out of the total harvest, how much of that is your A grade?
Yeah.
Is a deciding factor. Okay. And second thing is that if you are able to increase yield by 2 times or 3 times,
yeah,
then why increase price?
Exactly.
There's no need of increasing price. These are the 2 factors have been helping us to meet the expectations of consumer, and add demand to it and make money, because you are selling all A grade only, and you are able to get higher productivity.
Considering the fact that our is the other question I had, that for this, everything else is like 5% only water, you get 20% water, 80% water saved, and nutrients are very, very efficiently used. So whatever is given is, taken up by the plant, not lost or leached in the soil. But is the power cost a real impediment or something? How do you manage because you have to have 24 hours, all those lights have to be on, etc.
Power is the biggest challenge for indoor farm.
Yeah.
All our indoor farms we are able to manage just like that. But that they are not, though our capex has come down drastically, our opex is also reduced by 50% with our high efficiency lights, but still the power is the biggest challenge for indoor farm. So currently that's the reason why we have a small indoor farm, but main feed comes from our peripheral suburban farms, where the suburban greenhouses do not demand so much of power. So they are absolutely fine. But indoor farms, practically, yes, it is a challenge.
So that is something that needs to be worked.
Yes.
My last comment is that since you are using 80% less water, doesn't it improve the dry matter content in your leafy greens or in your fruits that you are growing? Because that might add to getting the right taste, whatever that genetically is. So you are harvesting the right potential, because you are not, you see, like in grapes or any crop, if you irrigate today, the TSS goes down, right? The grape farmers stop irrigation at least 8-10 days before if they want good taste in their. So similarly, since you are already using less water, doesn't that add to it being as tasty as it should be by its genetics?
Yes, sir, that is very right. See, but primarily our water saving comes from avoiding any water leaching to the soil. There is no zero water leaching.
Okay.
And even our peripheral farms, big farms like bell peppers and all, where we grow, we irrigate five times a day. Little, but 5 times a day. Okay. So there is a never excess thing. So that, as you rightly mentioned, adds to this biomass.
Yeah.
So that efficient input, that you have the sensors actually going, and the sensors decide when to pump.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I think if there are no more questions, I would like to conclude.
So just one small query I have it.
Yes.
I just want to know, per unit area, how much is the cost of production compared to the normal production? Is it as per or higher or lower? Because you have a different set of, cost than the farmer who are growing the crop in the field. So in terms of unit area, how much it is?
You're talking about cost of setup
Cost
or
of production?
cost of production is less.
Less?
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting.
So that's why I think the yield and
It's higher.
that is where I think the cost
of
benefit
production is
ratio.
less.
That's how he is able to sell.
Yeah.
At the almost same price as any other.
And to minimize your power cut, are you using the conventional method or biological method, like solar power, wind power kind of?
Currently, we are on this municipal power.
Yeah.
And a few places we plugged into the solar panels. But still, that is under research. I mean,
That will take time.
again, that adds to a lot of capex actually. So, and also facilitation is required. So the couple of places we added the solar, but mostly it is on municipal power.
Thanks. And Sharad, you had some quick question?
Yes, sir. I'll ask one quick question.
Okay.
I heard Dr. Reddy saying that there is minimum use of pesticides or no use of pesticides. So why not his produce be branded as organic and sell it at a premium price?
Sir, that's not in my hand, sir. That's a policy actually. So if you see in America, these hydroponic growers asked government of America to classify this as organic, and government of America issued a GO saying that this is organic. But organic farmers, conventional organic farmers, sued the government. So that case went on for a year, and then finally hearing came saying that this with few clauses, this hydroponics can be classified as organic. So the clause on which these farmers sued the government is like, as part of this organic classification, one is that farmers supposed to do the soil restoration activity after every crop. Since there is no soil usage here completely, so there is no such question arising. But without fulfilling that, it appears as you are breaching the clause. So that was the thing. But in India, we are still not in a position where government can think about this segment at all. US already did it. Europe is in the process. So generally, if Europe takes a decision and India takes the decision. So wait and see.
My comment on that is that instead of worrying about organic and all, if you can brand your food as safe food, I think that is going to be enough.
A chemical free would be the ideal word, sir.
Yeah,
we call it as
chemical free.
We call it as a residue free.
You see, safe means it is good for you. And if you can brand that with whatever needs to be done, I think BASF should spend money on that to make that brand happen. You see, branding is just spending the right amount of money to create that brand and that image. So that image can be created only when it is backed by some data. Correct. That why you call it safe versus that. You already talked about some, factors by which the other one had toxicity and things like that. Yes. So if all that can be put into the marketing profile, maybe people will pay still 5% more because they know that this is branded safe. Brand has a value. So you have to create that brand. So thank you very much. I think we have had exciting discussion. Thanks to everybody's participation. I saw some friends who I had not seen for quite some time. Pawan Khera is there. Are you attending from Holland?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So nice to have you all. 54% urban living, they will be catered by this. 80% less water, 5% area giving the same yield as, the same yield as would be given by 1 acre in the field. Then all kinds of units that you showed. And the congratulations for doing the tweaking of the technology, and reducing the cost of those. So I have something to say on that, but that I'll talk to you. Can you do it for speed breeding? You can be very rich. So I will talk to you about that. And then, cost, you said, cost is nullified by the amount of yield you get. So great. And I think the opportunity is not only expanding of this business, the opportunity is for the breeders to now cater to this. It doesn't have to come from only greenhouse breeding companies. We need Indian vegetables that are suitable for that. So I'm sure you open also that possibility, and maybe we will be your customer soon. So thank you very much, and thank you everybody for active participation. Goodbye to you, and thank you for doing this in spite of COVID.
Sir, you forget to mention the name of the speaker for the next webinar.
Okay, yeah. I would like to also mention to everybody that our next speaker will be Dr. Sameer Sawant. He is a very senior genomics molecular breeding breeder at CSIR lab in NBRI, Lucknow. He has excellent work on sequencing in the cotton crop and many other crops. So it will be a very interesting talk to hear from him in February. I think Dr. Aparna will inform the dates and the time. Thank you very much again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Sairam. And thank you all the participants for joining the session, and looking forward to see you again next month
Yeah.
with another exciting lecture.
Bye-bye.
Wish you a very great day and enjoy the Makar Sankranti.
Thank you. Happy
Thank you.
Makar Sankranti.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.